All right, let's talk about something that drives so many nonprofits crazy. You're doing incredible work. You have a powerful mission, but your grant applications just keep getting turned down, and you have no idea why. You see the impact you're making every single day in your community. You know your programs work, but that funding, the money you need to keep going and to grow, it just isn't materializing. And honestly, it's just crushing.
Well, here's the thing. More often than not, that rejection has absolutely nothing to do with how good your mission is. The real problem is often buried in your paperwork, these hidden compliance red flags that funders spot during their due diligence.
So let's think of this as a quick health checkup for your organization. We're going to look for those hidden symptoms and figure out how to make sure your nonprofit is just as healthy on paper as it is in practice. Okay, let's dive in. First things first, we have to start at the top with the most important, vital sign of all, your standing with the IRS. Everything, and I mean everything, is built on this foundation.
And this is the big one, an automatic revocation of your tax-exempt status. This is the most serious red flag possible, and for pretty much any funder out there, it is an absolute 100% deal breaker. So how does something this bad even happen? Well, it's shockingly easy. All it takes is failing to file your annual Form 990 for 3 years in a row. And that includes the super simple 990-N e-postcard for smaller orgs. The IRS won't send you a warning, they just flip a switch.
And you have to see this from the funder's point of view. To them, this isn't just a missed deadline. They see it as, and I'm quoting here, evidence of fundamental governance failure and organizational incompetence. Wow, it basically screams that there are deep, deep problems with how the organization is run. Now, even if you haven't been revoked, there are other federal issues that can make funders really nervous. Things like a history of filing late, or maybe your forms are incomplete, or maybe you have an old, outdated determination letter. Even simple things like having your name or your EIN be inconsistent across documents, those all raise red flags.
Okay, so let's say your federal health is looking good. That's great, but the checkup isn't over. Now we have to move to the state level. We're going to use California as our main example here, because they have their own set of rules that can completely stop a grant, no matter how clean your IRS record is.
And here is the absolute key to understanding state compliance, especially in a place like California. You can't be mostly compliant. You have to be in good standing with 3 different agencies all at once. If you have a problem with just one of them, it can sink the whole ship. People call this the compliance triangle, and a problem with any side is a deal breaker. First, you've got the Secretary of State. If your status isn't active with them, you can't even legally sign a grant agreement. Then there's the Franchise Tax Board, which handles your state tax exemption. Get suspended by them, and you're blocked. And finally, the Attorney General's Registry, which gives you the legal authority to even ask for money. A problem with any of these is a major red flag. All right, so we've checked the federal and state filings. Now, funders are going to look even deeper. They want to check on the underlying conditions, the internal health of your organization. Basically, they want to see if you're running a tight ship. And you know where they look for clues? Your Form 990. They'll check to see if you have documented board meetings. That's a huge green flag for good oversight. If you don't, big red flag. They'll also look at your finances, like your program expense ratio, and whether your assets are growing or shrinking. It all tells a story. Okay, so let's say you've gone through this checkup and you've found a few symptoms. The first thing I want you to do is take a deep breath. Don't panic. This stuff is fixable. There is a clear treatment plan to get you back to being 100% healthy and fundable. So what's the plan? It's a simple 4-step recovery loop. First, you assess. You need to know the full extent of the problem across all the agencies. Then you prioritize. Tackle the absolute deal breakers first. Third, you remediate. Get those overdue forms filed and fees paid. And finally, and this is so important, you prevent this from ever happening again by creating new, better systems. Now, we do have to be realistic about how long this can take. Fixing an issue with the California Secretary of State, that could literally take just a few days. Getting back on track with the FTB or AG might take a couple of weeks, maybe up to 2 months. But that IRS reinstatement we talked about, you have to be patient. You're looking at a minimum of 3 to 6 months, and honestly, sometimes even longer. So, you've done all the hard work, you've gotten that clean bill of health. Awesome. Now the goal is simple: stay healthy. let's talk about a prevention plan to keep you compliant for good. And really, it just comes down to building a few simple habits. Number 1, have a master calendar with every single filing deadline and put reminders on it. Number 2, just do a quick check-in every quarter to verify your status with all the agencies. Number 3, assign this job to someone. Make it clear whose responsibility it is. And please, please document your board meetings as they happen, not 6 months later when you're scrambling to apply for a grant.
So, at the end of the day, it all boils down to this one question. Funders need to see that your paperwork, your compliance, your governance, that it's all telling the same incredible story as your mission. Because when those two things are in perfect alignment, that is what makes an organization truly, deeply fundable.